Our founder, Jack Roser, and myself have Charlie Kirk with us, and Charlie Kirk is a young man from Turning Point. He's the founder of the organization.
In 2012, a teenager from Wheeling, Illinois, sent an email that would change the course of his life and, in many ways, help spark a new generation of conservative activism. His name, Charlie Kirk. Breitbart News recently revisited that moment in an article dated September 10, 2025, calling it the spark that ignited a movement.
Through my years at Wheeling High School, I enjoyed my time, but there were a lot of times where I felt that the teachers were pushing an alternative agenda and that our textbooks were written in certain ways to make us think things that were not true.
The aforementioned article on Breitbart.com begins with this excerpt from the opening of the email sent by the young Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk, then a high school student, sent the following email to Breitbart News in April 2012, shortly after Andrew Breitbart's death. My name is Charlie Kirk, and I was referred to you by, the name of that person has been omitted, from the Chicago Tea Party rally. I am a high school student from Wheeling, Illinois, and co-founder of a conservative youth group called SOS Liberty. He told me to contact you after I informed him about some of our activities and the blatant misinformation in our public school textbooks. For example, our District 214 AP Economics textbook is written by Paul Krugman and is littered with biased and subjective analysis. SOS Liberty wants to correct certain information and provide an alternative viewpoint to combat the liberal brainwashing that is taking place in our classroom.
They were trying to remove the founding documents from the U.S. history classes. They said they were not relevant. They really spent a lot of time on the progressive era, and our economics textbook was written by Paul Krugman from the New York Times, and in it was factually incorrect data. I stood up to my teacher several times, and I try to get other students to do the same.
The Breitbart article continues, highlighting what Kirk stated in his 2012 interview with Chicago's Champion News Talk Radio.
I have a question for you. What do you mean they removed our founding documents?
They made a motion to try to remove it. It did not pass in the school board, but they tried to remove it from our U.S. history class.
Specifically our Constitution, our Declaration of Independence?
Well, they tried to remove from our U.S. history classes everything before 1860, saying it was not relevant.
That's stunning to me.
Now, it did not pass. It did not make the news, of course, but it showed that some people found that our founding documents no longer had relevancy in our schools.
Breitbart.com continues with, when we showed one chapter of Krugman's textbook to the dad of one our SOS members, he was so outraged he couldn't sleep and critiqued Krugman's misinformation. Attached is one chapter of Krugman's textbook with the dad's notes written in the margins. For example, there is a reference to Reagan's economic plan, and Krugman concludes, the Reagan tax cuts showed no sign of acceleration in economic growth. In fact, the Reagan tax cuts produced one of the biggest expansions in our history, yet high school students are being brainwashed to believe that the Reagan's tax cuts were not successful. We at SOS Liberty are committed to combating this sort of blatant and biased propaganda. It's frightening to think that this Krugman's book is likely being used by high schools throughout the nation. Is your organization aware of this Krugman textbook?
The awareness level of parents, and then the involvement.
It was minimal, and parents have not been involved in school boards like they need to be. They do not run for school board, they don't show up to the meetings. Just the fact that Paul Krugman had an economics textbook approved and put into our public high schools is inexcusable. And that's,
who is Paul Krugman, and why is he relevant to this conversation? Who is he?
Okay, Paul Krugman is a nationally known Nobel Prize-winning economist from the New York Times. He writes a daily column. He also wrote the book Conscious of a Liberal, and he's a renowned collectivist.
Obama was given the
of course.
prize from the same organization.
Right.
The judgment wasn't so good there either.
And the school board decided to put Paul Krugman's textbook into the public school system, where, in quote, it said, the Reagan tax cuts did not accelerate economic growth.
A young Charlie Kirk finished up the initial email to Breitbart with these thoughts. Andrew Breitbart's passing was a great loss to the conservative community, but as Charlie Kirk reminds us, his mission must live on. Turning Point USA is still busy ensuring Charlie's legacy as well. In closing, Charlie asked this: where are the textbooks by Milton Friedman, Thomas Sowell, or Ludwig von Mises, thinkers who championed freedom, responsibility, and truth? By exposing the bias and shining light on the deception, we can help restore objectivity, integrity, and biblical wisdom to education. Together, we can send big education and big government a big message. Truth still matters, and it's not for sale. So, we should learn this from the foregoing. Parents have a responsibility to know what their children are being taught, to open those textbooks, ask the hard questions, and help guard the hearts and minds of our children from subtle indoctrination. As Christians, we're called to raise our children in the nurture and admonition of the Lord, grounding them in Scripture so they can stand firm in a world increasingly hostile to the Bible. Because when faith shapes the mind, truth will always outshine deception. Don't forget to subscribe to the Gospel Vault for more from our Faith versus Indoctrination playlist, where we confront deception with truth and bring faith back into the public conversation. God bless.
So the kids start to subconsciously feel that, oh, the government solves every problem. And we did a poll in our high school in the local area. Which economic system would be most prosperous to create wealth for the middle, lower, and upper class, for all people over the next 100 years? 28% said capitalism, 40% said socialism. The rest said they don't know the difference between socialism and capitalism.